There's a moment, a single flash of time, where your life splits clean down the middle. Before and after. For me, it was a Tuesday. I was late picking up dry cleaning. The dog had chewed through yet another charger, and I was contemplating whether Thai food was an acceptable dinner 3 nights in a row. In short, it was a completely normal day. My wife, Eliza, had sent me a text around noon. Dinner tonight? Just us. Important. Now, after 15 years of marriage, that kind of message didn't scream emergency. It screamed reminder we're married and haven't had a conversation without dishes or kids in weeks. I figured she was finally ready to talk about taking that trip to Maine she kept dropping hints about. So I showed up. Jacket slightly wrinkled. Flowers in hand. The kind she liked, sunflowers. Not because they're romantic, but because they're stubborn. They find the sun, no matter what, she'd once told me. The restaurant she picked was fancy. Too fancy for a couple like us, honestly. It had napkins you could mistake for hand towels, and waiters who moved like they were trained in mime school. I scanned the room, spotted her at a back table near the window. She looked up, smiled, but not the usual smile. Not the one that crinkled her eyes or made me feel like home was sitting across from me. This one was practiced, and next to her was a man. Mid-30s, clean-shaven, the kind of jawline that says, I moisturize and I don't do my own taxes. He stood as I approached. Eliza, I said, eyes locked on hers. Logan, this is Jared, she replied, voice even. He's from work. Sure. And I'm the Easter Bunny. I shook his hand, firm and quick, then took my seat. The waiter appeared out of nowhere, offered wine. Eliza declined. Jared ordered something French, and I asked for water. The conversation started innocent enough. Jared talked about quarterly sales and innovation pipelines, whatever that meant. Eliza nodded politely, barely touching her food. I watched her, not him. Her fingers drummed against the edge of her plate, a nervous tic she had when she was lying. But I said nothing. I let the night play out. I played the good husband. Because in that moment, I still believed this was just dinner. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The thing about betrayal is it doesn't show up wearing a ski mask and waving red flags. No, it walks in looking familiar, smiling like your wife, stirring her coffee with your spoon and calling it sharing. Dinner dragged. Jared talked too much. Eliza spoke too little. I watched her knife shake just slightly as she cut her salmon. A woman who once sliced steak like she was born in a butcher shop. So, Logan, Jared finally turned to me, too casual. Eliza tells me you're in logistics? Supply chain management, I corrected. You? I'm a director of integration. He replied, like that meant something. He smiled, the kind of smile you wear when you know something the other guy doesn't. We've been working closely on a few client transitions. Closely, right. That was the moment I noticed the way her knee was tilted, angled not toward me, but toward him. Micro body language, my therapist once called it. Tiny betrayals in posture. Dessert came. Eliza declined again. Jared ordered creme brulee, and I ordered a reason to stay seated. Then came the check. Jared grabbed it without hesitation. I've got this one, he said, grinning at me like he just beat me at poker. I smiled back, equally hollow. Generous of you. He stood first. Extended a hand again. Pleasure, Logan. Was it? Really? Eliza followed, brushing her hand lightly against his back as they walked out. I stayed behind for a few seconds, just enough to let the silence wrap around me. That walk to the car was the longest 4 minutes of my life. She didn't say a word, just slipped into the passenger seat like she was a stranger I'd picked up from valet. So, I said, starting the engine. Jared seems enthusiastic. She looked out the window. He's passionate about his work. Clearly. Does his work include touching your arm every 7 seconds, or was that just a special feature tonight? She flinched. A beat passed. Don't make this into something it's not. I smiled. That was the line. Don't make this into something it's not. Which, translated, usually means, it already is. We drove home in silence, the air between us so thick I could have carved my name in it. When we got inside, I took the trash out just to get away from her perfume. But standing there, watching that black bag slump into the bin, I realized something. She wasn't nervous because I might find out. She was calm because she assumed I never would. And that was the first true insult. You ever feel the floor shift beneath you while you're still standing? Not like in movies, where it's all explosions and dramatic music. No, real betrayal hits quieter. It's a cracked tile, a loose step, Something small that sends your whole world tilting. 2 days after the dinner, I found her phone. Now let's be clear, I'm not the snooping type. I've never been one of those check her messages while she showers guys. But when your wife comes home from work with lipstick you didn't see her put on, and Jared's cologne lingers on her like an afterthought, even the most trusting man starts turning into Sherlock Holmes with a caffeine addiction. She was in the backyard, pretending to water plants she hadn't touched in weeks. Her phone buzzed on the counter. I walked past it, tried to ignore it, tried again. Then on the third buzz, I looked. A message popped up from Jared. Last night was unreal. Can't stop thinking about you. Unreal. Like our marriage. Like my belief in it. I picked up the phone. The lock screen faded, and somehow, her password hadn't changed. 4 digits. The anniversary we no longer celebrated. I opened the thread. Jared was charming, in a greasy used car salesman kind of way. Voice notes. Inside jokes. Pictures I didn't want to see. Most of them harmless, except they weren't harmless at all. They had a whole language. A world. Their own references. He called her June after some running joke I wasn't in on. She called him Blue for reasons she never told me. Every message was another mile between us, paved in lies and lazy emojis. One text stood out. Eliza, he's starting to get suspicious. I hate lying, but I'm not ready to blow this up yet. Blow this up yet. So it wasn't just happening. It was being planned. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I backed away from the phone like it was loaded. Slid it back where it was. When she came inside, humming to herself and wiping her hands like she'd just solved world hunger, I smiled. How are the roses? I asked. She blinked. What? The ones you watered. Just now. She paused. Oh. Yeah. Good. The soil's a bit dry, though. We didn't have roses. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to her, watching the ceiling, wondering how many nights she'd come home smelling like another man's aftershave, and I just rolled over, none the wiser. You want to know the worst part? It wasn't the cheating. It wasn't even the lies. It was that she'd turned me into someone I didn't recognize. A man who checked his wife's phone, who memorized her calendar, who tracked delivery receipts to see if she'd sent Jared flowers on Valentine's Day, and yeah, she had. Under the alias J. Ellis. How poetic. I needed confirmation. Something undeniable. Something that screamed in a language even my hurt pride couldn't ignore. So the next morning, I played the doting husband. Why don't we go away next weekend? I offered over coffee. Somewhere quiet. Just us. She looked up, caught off guard. Oh, I don't know. I might have work. Then take a day off. You deserve a break. She smiled, polite. And that was the moment I knew. She was about to lie to me again. That day, I didn't go to work. I waited for her to leave, then followed her. Pathetic, right? Grown man trailing his wife like a budget private investigator. But when you've been fed fiction for so long, the truth starts to taste like oxygen. She didn't go to work. She drove to a downtown hotel. Classy place. Valet parking. Spa on the roof. And Jared was waiting in the lobby. They didn't kiss, she was smart enough for that. But the way her face lit up when she saw him? You can't fake that. That kind of smile is reserved for first dates and new lovers. They disappeared into an elevator, and I didn't follow. I didn't need to. I had all the answers I came for. Back home, I sat in the living room, phone in hand, wondering how long I could keep this mask on. I wasn't ready to burn the house down. Not yet. No, I needed to set the stage. She got home late, hair tousled, blaming traffic. I didn't call her out. I kissed her cheek, told her I made dinner. She ate it like she deserved it. That night, I started writing everything down. Every message I saw. Every photo. Every time and date. I started keeping records, not for revenge. Not yet. But for clarity. Because when this all burned to the ground, and oh, it would, I wanted to be the man who remembered every detail. Not out of spite. Out of principle. Revenge doesn't start with fire, it starts with patience. You sit with the pain. Let it marinate. Let it become fuel. I wasn't going to throw a tantrum, make a scene, or scream into a pillow. That's not my style. Besides, if Eliza wanted chaos, I'd give her something worse. Control. I spent the next few days treating her better than ever. Candlelit dinners. Small surprises. I even took her car in for an oil change. And each time she smiled that guilty smile, the one that cracked just a little too soon, I noted it. She thought I was breaking. What she didn't realize is that I was building. Building a case. Building an exit. Building something she never planned for. a man who'd looked into the abyss and come out smiling. At work, I started making adjustments. Quiet ones. Called my lawyer friend Davis. Asked questions with no names. If someone cheats, what does that mean in terms of marital assets? How does emotional distress factor in? What kind of evidence holds up? Davis didn't pry. He'd seen enough faces like mine to know what was going on. Just be methodical, he said. Don't let emotion blow your leverage. Leverage. Now there was a word I hadn't tasted in weeks. At night, I read up on digital forensics. Downloaded copies of everything I could get off Eliza's phone. Messages, photos, calendar invites. Every team meeting that was actually a rendezvous at boutique hotels. Every late-night text where she called Jared my sanctuary. Sanctuary. Cute. I bet his idea of foreplay was quoting productivity hacks from LinkedIn. But the gold mine was her iCloud. She'd left it logged in on our tablet. Bless her predictable heart. One click, and there it was. A gallery of memories not meant for me. But that's where it got interesting. See, Eliza wasn't just reckless, she was sentimental. She'd saved voice notes from Jared. Some sweet, some dirty, some criminally dumb. I wish he'd just disappear, Jared said in one. I'd take care of you. Every day, morning, noon, and night. Real Romeo, that one. She replied, don't tempt me. You'd spoil me rotten. Not enough for police, but enough for a judge. Enough for a jury of our friends. The thing is, I wasn't just planning to walk away clean. I was planning to walk away with everything. She had no idea I'd already started moving my money. Joint accounts quietly split. Subscriptions canceled. Insurance reallocated. I even called her sister under the guise of planning a surprise trip and fished out a little nugget. Eliza's been distant lately, she said. I thought maybe it was just stress. She's stressed, all right, I replied. Meanwhile, I booked an appointment with a private mediator, one who specialized in quiet dissolutions. I told them I wanted the paperwork ready before she saw it coming. But first, I needed one final piece. The confrontation. Not the shouty kind. Not a Hollywood slam-the-door monologue. No, I wanted it precise. Choreographed. Memorable. So I waited. Waited until our anniversary. 10 years of marriage. 10 years of ups, downs, and whatever the last 3 months were. She suggested a weekend getaway. Somewhere with charm. A bed and breakfast that looked like a Pinterest board had thrown up on it. Perfect. I played along. Packed her favorite wine. Reserved the best room. Even had the owners set up the fireplace. She was glowing. I was glowing. One of us was faking. We had dinner in town, came back late, and curled up by the fire. She kissed me, slowly, like the old days. Like we were still real. And right before it could go further, I stopped her. Eliza, I said gently, I have something for you. I handed her a small envelope. Inside was a USB drive. She looked puzzled. What's this? Evidence, I said. Her smile faltered. I know, Eliza. All of it. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. The moment stretched. The room got very quiet. The flames crackled like they were listening in. I don't know what you mean, she tried, barely audible. I laughed softly. Not cruel, not loud. Just tired. I mean, I know about Jared. The hotels. The fake meetings. The text where you said you weren't ready to blow it up yet. Well, happy anniversary. Boom. She blinked, jaw tightening. Logan, save it, I cut in. You had your chance to come clean. I gave you time. What I didn't give you was permission to make me your fool. Tears welled in her eyes. Whether they were real or part of the performance, I didn't care. You can cry now, I said. But don't mistake this for weakness. I stood and tossed another log into the fire. The heat pulsed against my face like applause. I've already met with a mediator. Papers are ready. You walk away with your things. I walk away with my dignity. And half your commission from the Jensen deal. Yes, I know about that too. How? You left your email open, I replied. Guess you weren't the only one watching. She sat frozen. I suggest you take the weekend to pack your narrative. You're gonna need it. And with that, I walked out to the patio, left her alone by the fire she thought she'd control. That night, I didn't sleep in our room. I booked another down the hall. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere honest. And for the first time in months, I slept like a man who remembered who he was. Sunday morning came dressed in silence. No birdsong, no breeze. Just the quiet aftermath of what used to be a marriage, now cracked wide open like a dropped wine glass on tile. I made my coffee in the guest room. Brought my own travel-sized French press because I predicted this moment. Call it foresight. Call it a hunch. Call it knowing my wife better than she knew herself. When I walked into the shared kitchen of the inn, Eliza was already sitting at the table, wearing one of those oversized sweaters that only looked cozy if you weren't on the receiving end of betrayal. She looked up at me like she was waiting for a hug, or maybe a bullet. "Morning," I said flatly, pouring my coffee. She didn't reply, just stared like she'd forgotten how words worked. I sat down across from her and took a slow sip. Let her squirm. Let her stew in it. "Did you sleep?" she finally asked, voice cracking like a cheap plate. "Better than expected." "Logan," she started. I raised a hand. "Don't. We're not doing the tears, the apologies, or the memory lane parade. You had months for that. You chose deception." Her eyes welled up anyway. And this time, I didn't wonder if the tears were real. I knew they were, just not for the reasons she wanted me to think. She wasn't mourning me. She was mourning her control. "Was it serious?" I asked. She blinked. "What? With Jared? Did you love him, or did he just give you something to feel superior about again?" Silence. "Do you love him?" I repeated. She shook her head slowly. "I don't know. I thought I did." I leaned back. "That's the difference between us. I never had to think about it." She winced, like that line physically landed. And good. She deserved to feel something other than whatever rush she got sneaking around behind my back. She pushed her mug away, clearly unable to stomach her own breakfast. "I messed everything up," she said quietly. "Correct. I didn't want to hurt you." "Also incorrect." She glanced at me, confused. "If you didn't want to hurt me, you wouldn't have done it this way. You didn't want to hurt me. Or maybe punish me. For what? Being consistent? Being boring? Not quoting poetry over breakfast." Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, then shut again. I continued. "You didn't cheat because something was missing. You cheated because you thought nothing would happen to you. Because you thought I'd never look." She looked down. "I get it," I said, softening slightly. "You wanted something else. That happens. But you didn't leave. You lied. And now you don't get to rewrite the story." I stood, took one last sip, and turned toward the hallway. "Checkout's at noon. I'd recommend you leave first." That afternoon, she was gone. I walked back into our house like it was a museum. Everything was intact. Furniture in place. No notes, no grand declarations. Just an echo of someone who used to be my wife. I sat on the couch and took it all in. This was the same room where we binge-watched crime shows, argued over throw pillow colors, hosted birthday parties. Now it felt like a stage set after the show had ended, beautiful, but hollow. My phone buzzed. "Davis, my lawyer friend." "You good?" he asked. "I'm functional," I replied. "Paperwork's in. Filed this morning. She hasn't contested yet. Mediation is in 10 days. "Thanks." "Logan," he said, pausing. "You sure you don't want to drag this through the court?" "Oh, I want to," I said. "But wanting and needing aren't the same." I hung up and opened a fresh document on my laptop titled Version 2.0. First line, "Don't rebuild what was. Build what should have been from the start." Over the next week, I took back my life piece by piece. I had the locks changed, donated half the decor, flipped the master bedroom, new paint, new sheets, even moved the bed to the opposite wall. Something symbolic about it. I wanted no residue of her left on my sleep. Friends started checking in. Some cautiously, some aggressively. "Dude, are you okay?" "She did what?" "You want us to go find Jared and introduce him to therapy via tire iron?" I appreciated the support. Declined the tire iron. Jared, as far as I was concerned, wasn't the villain. He was just a symptom. The real rot had been planted by the woman who shared my life and chose to live another one in secret. A few days later, Eliza texted. "Eliza, I'm sorry. I miss you." I read it. Closed my phone. Didn't reply. You don't reply to the past. You let it echo in silence. Instead, I poured myself a drink, walked out to the deck, and breathed in something rare. Freedom. Not the freedom of a bachelor. Not the party-all-week kind. The kind where you've faced the ugliest truth in your life and come out smarter, calmer, sharper. Because the best revenge is clarity, and it was just getting started. It's funny how fast people scatter when the mask slips. In the week after I exposed Eliza, the group chats grew quiet. Friends who used to send us double-date memes suddenly couldn't look me in the eye. Turns out, when your wife cheats and you don't crumble, it makes people nervous. Like your composure is a virus they might catch. But I didn't need their sympathy. I needed something better, opportunity. That came in the form of a box. A literal one, sitting on the porch one afternoon. Inside was a pair of cufflinks, silver, engraved. A note sat on top. 2 words, handwritten in familiar script, for clarity. It was from Helen, Eliza's old college roommate. We'd only ever bonded over mutual exhaustion at wine nights and the shared experience of surviving Eliza's drama. Apparently, that was enough to earn me some loyalty. The cufflinks weren't the gift. The real gift came in the text that followed. Helen, you should know Jared's not her first. Just the most recent. My hand froze above the reply. Me? You sure? Helen. I introduced her to the first one. 2017. She swore it was just a fling. Jared makes 3. Maybe 4. I sat there, staring at the screen, the air in the room folding in on itself. Not because I didn't believe her, but because I did. And somehow, that made it feel lighter. There was something strangely empowering about realizing the betrayal wasn't a moment, it was a pattern. A lifestyle. A game she'd been playing while I was busy building us a future. I was never the husband who got cheated on. I was the mark. And now? Now the mark was holding the pen. I dug deeper. Started pulling financial statements. Subscriptions under her name. Hidden Venmo transactions labeled with emojis and fake initials. A few dinner receipts from work events matched up neatly with nights she'd sworn she was working late at the office. And every puzzle piece I found gave me more leverage. More clarity. Her gym membership? Jared's name was listed as the emergency contact. Her LinkedIn? Recently updated. New job title. New region. She was already planning her life after me. She just hadn't told me yet. So, I decided to return the favor. Mediation day came fast. She showed up wearing a navy blazer, clean lines, subtle jewelry. Professional. The kind of outfit you wear when you think you're about to control the narrative. She looked surprised when she saw me walk in with Davis. You brought counsel? She asked. Thought it might help keep things fair, I said, sliding into my seat. The mediator, a calm woman in her 60s named Marcia, greeted us both with the same measured warmth. Then she opened the file. Eliza, Logan's agreed to a no-contest dissolution, Marcia said. Assets split down the middle, except the home, which remains in his name. The retirement fund stays untouched. Spousal support waived. Eliza blinked. Wait. What? Davis spoke smoothly. Given recent revelations, my client is generously choosing to settle without seeking restitution or damages. In exchange, we ask for complete relinquishment of any claim on property, past or future income, and the joint savings account. Eliza's voice rose just slightly. That's absurd. I've contributed to this marriage for over a decade. And you've withdrawn quite a bit too, I said calmly. She flushed. I made mistakes. That doesn't mean I should walk away with nothing. Davis pulled out a folder. Mistakes. He slid it across the table. If you'd like to define them more clearly, we can renegotiate. We have documentation, screenshots, statements, even an email thread between you and Mr. Jensen. Her face turned to stone. Marcia, bless her unflappable heart, adjusted her glasses and said, I recommend you review the terms carefully before rejecting them. Eliza didn't speak again for 20 minutes. She signed. Afterward, outside the office, she caught up to me in the parking lot. Why did you do it like this? She asked, voice low. Like what? Cold. Quiet. Like I was some business transaction. I looked at her. Really looked. For the first time since this all started, I saw her not as my wife. Not even as the woman who betrayed me. Just as a person. Flawed. Fragile. And far too proud. Because if I screamed, I said, you'd win. And if I broke, you'd pity me. But like this, you get nothing. She stared at me, mouth half open. And that's exactly what you gave me, Eliza. Nothing. For years. She didn't follow me to the car. Didn't text. Didn't call. But 2 nights later, I got a message. Not from her. From Jared. Jared. Guess she didn't tell you she moved in with me. Thought you should know who she came home to. I read it twice. Then I laughed. A real laugh. The kind that tastes like clean air after a storm. Me. Congrats. You inherited a liar. Just wait till you find out she's allergic to commitment and honesty. He never replied. But I slept better than I had in months. 3 weeks after mediation, I got another message. This one from a mutual friend. Tessa, have you seen Eliza's latest post? Wow. Now, I don't stalk my ex. That chapter's closed. But when 3 more messages echoed the same sentiment, curiosity won. Eliza had posted a photo of herself and Jared, smiling in some overpriced vineyard, captioned, "Sometimes love shows up when the dust settles." Only this time, the comments weren't kind. Apparently, word had gotten out. Quietly, but firmly. Her small mistakes weren't so small when they had hotel receipts and date stamps attached. Turns out, people don't take kindly to betrayal when it's dressed in Sunday filters and fake poetry. Worse? Jared had a fiancée before Eliza had. Her sister messaged me. "Megan, hey, I just wanted to say thank you. You saved my sister from a complete con artist." 1 week later, Jared's profile disappeared entirely. Rumor was his employer found the messages Eliza sent him during office hours. And just like that, the power couple collapsed like a souffle in a wind tunnel. I didn't throw a party. I didn't gloat. Instead, I started fresh. Got a new apartment, nothing extravagant, just mine. Clean walls, fresh paint, a coffee table that didn't carry ghosts. I changed my habits. Woke up earlier. Took long walks. Reconnected with hobbies I'd shelved for us: woodworking, writing, Saturday morning hikes. It's wild how much life you rediscover when no one's draining you quietly. And then, the unexpected. Peace. Not the kind that sneaks up on you. The kind you build. On your own. Brick by quiet brick. I even started dating. Nothing serious. Just honest. No pretending. No masks. One woman asked on the second date, "You seem whole. What's your story?" I smiled and said, "Once upon a time, I forgot who I was." Then someone reminded me. Painfully, but thoroughly. 6 months passed. Then came the call I didn't expect. Her number. I stared at it. Let it ring twice. Then answered. "Eliza." "Hey," she said, almost breathless. "I know it's late. I wanted to talk." "What about?" A long pause. "Everything," she said. "I've been going to therapy. Jared and I, well, we're not together anymore. I realize I messed up, Logan. Bad." I said nothing. I didn't just cheat. I destroyed something. And I don't know if I ever told you how much I admired the way you handled it. You were stronger than I ever expected. Still, I didn't speak. Because what do you say to the ghost of someone who chose someone else? She continued. "I guess I just needed to say sorry. A real one. And I needed to tell you, you didn't deserve any of it." I finally responded. "No, I didn't." Then I hung up. Not out of cruelty, but closure. Today, it's been a year. A full year since I watched my marriage crumble over creme brulee and cowardice. A year since I chose dignity over drama. I've rebuilt. Not just my life, but my voice. And now, I sit here writing this story, not to seek pity or praise, but as proof. Proof that being cheated on doesn't make you weak. Staying honest? Walking away without firebombing everything? That's strength. Pain didn't define me. Her betrayal didn't break me. It revealed me. And now? Now I live by one simple truth. Let them go. Let them lie. Let them spiral. But you? You rise. Because revenge doesn't always look like a comeback. Sometimes, it looks like peace.